Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. No, good morning. Hey, we. Vipi wadau, habari asubuhi. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. It's a fantastic morning, a fantastic Monday, a fantastic new week. It's the 27th of November. Siku zinasonga, mwaka kwa karibu kukatika. Mwaka huu, mwaka mzuri, mwaka fiti. Asante sana kwa kujiunga nami. I'm your host, the moderator, and this is the morning show. This is the newspaper review. Karibu sana kwa show. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Naambia na wafundi wa mitambo ya kwamba nimeanza show nikiwa muted. Forgive me for that, but otherwise, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good to have you, good to see you, good to have you around. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning here in Kenya. Is it good night where you are? Is it good afternoon? Whatever time it is. But karibu sana kwa hii show yako, show fiti, show kali. I'm your host, Jakes, the moderator, and this is Afric TV. This is the newspaper review show. Aha, tushaanza show ingine kali, show fiti, show poa, show ambayo umeitisha. And pia tunapatikana pale TikTok, kimbia pale TikTok, tafuta Africa. Very soon we will be doing things hapo TikTok. So kimbia hapo TikTok. Zaidi ya yote, subscribe to Afric TV. Let us have you as part of our members. Asante sana. This is the morning show. I'm your host, Jakes, the moderator, of course, standing in for my brother Leo, who will join me later on. But above all, this is your show. This is your number one channel here in Kenya. Asante sana. Nijuze unanitazama ukiwa wapi? Naona tayari Goodyear amenijoin live. Asante sana. Thank you very much. Like the video, subscribe, and let us have a good time. Namwona Kevo Meru ashafanya ile kitu. Asante kwa kulike hii video. Festus Lawyer amefanya ile kitu, amelike hii video. Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? I hope you're having a good morning. I hope you're having a good morning. Let me know where you're watching me from. Where is this finding you? Those in Kenya, habari zenyu, habari asubuhi. Those far away, good morning. Is it good night? You tell me. I don't know, but welcome to this wonderful conversation we are about to have. Mi nakumbuka zile enzi tulikuwa tunasema tunaanzia kule chini, bottom up. You remember those days? You remember how we used to describe William Ruto as a crowd mover? You remember how we used to say that this man has learned the art of politics from Raila Odinga, from Mwai Kibaki, from Moi. He has now become a master, a professor in crowd moving. But now, tuanze na hii clip wadau. It's interesting.
Wakati unaofaa. Sasa tutawatangazia wakati ambayo tutakuja kurudia mchezo tuendelee. Hiyo namba 1 na namba 2 wanashika kazi. Tutapanga studio na watacheza. Wakati unaofaa. Sasa Sasa tutawatangazia wakati ambayo tutakuja kurudia mchezo na tuendelee.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, that clip has been making rounds. Now, kulingana na sources, wanasema it is not President William Ruto, but the I think the coach, the ref, or someone who organized that tournament by the name Kenneth Ruto, according to some sources, including someone who equally has also commented. But huku nje watu wanadai hapana, no, it is William Ruto, the president, who they were chanting he must go. In any case, the calls from one Kipchumba Murkomen to calm the crowd could not suffice. In any case, watu walisema manze, Ruto must go. Na huku kwa street huku kwa street, kwa sababu hii show ya asubuhi itakuwa tu ni udaku tu, because pia gazeti ni udaku. So udaku ambao unajiri huku nje ni ya kwamba, you know what, inaweza kuwa ya kwamba it was not William Ruto, it was Kenneth Ruto. What do you think? Asante sana Alex Media, join us. This is Africa in the morning. This is the morning show. I'm with Leo Akondania studio, and we'll be looking at the newspapers. Tutaangalia udaku hapa kule. This show will be happening every day in the morning apart from Sundays, but every other day. Be sure to catch this show and itakuwa inakunice, tujuze tu udaku hapo mtaani, we'll be sharing with you a number that will be sending us nice clips ambazo tutakuwa tunazi air pia hapa kwa hii show ni show yako, show ya kujinice unapokaribia kwenda job, ama kama umefika job ndio tu umejinice kuingia kwa ofisi Tune into this show even as we begin. Tunaanza na hiyo clip wadau. Hiyo clip ili ni nice, ilikuwa inaongelea Ruto must go. Sasa huku nje tunadai ya kwamba ni Prezo alikuwa anaambiwa Prezo must go. Leo, what do you think? Was it Prezo must go or was it that jamaa wa FKF wa Baringo County alikuwa anaambiwa aende? What do you think? This is Kemboi. He says that it wasn't Ruto the president. Is he trying to manage the crowd? What do you think? Was it Ruto the president?
No, me worry, no, whether it was Ruto the president or whichever Ruto, the message is home. So we don't need to start.
The message is already home.
When we talk of Ruto, we only know one Ruto. Yeah.
According to Kemboy, he says that you know what, uku sides za uko kwao, uku home uko mtaa Rift Valley, wanadai ya kwamba Ruto ni wengi, kuna Ruto Prezo na kuna huyu Kenneth Ruto, na ni huyu Ruto Kenneth walikuwa wanafukuza. I don't know about you, but this is the clip of the day that we will be playing often. Who do you think is the Ruto? Tuma maoni yako hapo katika comment section. Let us have an interactive show, but this is what the presidents of Baringo were saying. They didn't listen to one Kipchumba Murkomen. Okay. Enough of that. Now allow us to have the show. And this is the morning show where we discuss what is happening in our dailies and what is making headlines. Now, Leo, interesting. Leo, let me call you Leo, then Leo. Leo, today, I think that is better. Today, the president is meeting the cabinet, to discuss floods. Before even we go to the dailies, what do you think will be happening? Because the rains have been with us. In Lancaster and reduced, but when it was intense, the president was took to the skies. So, what do you think will inform today's cabinet meeting? Because it is happening today.
I think the president is meeting the cabinet today, and it's so unfortunate that this kind of meeting was supposed to be there before. So maybe in today's meeting, I don't know, they're just going to take stock of the people who've been drowned. And the only thing that we need them to discuss is how to ensure that nobody loses a life, maybe moving forward. Though it is late, but let us hope they are going to discuss something that is going to help. But this kind of meeting was supposed to be called before, and they were supposed to prepare. So it means we are a country that instead of preparing, we react. So it's going to be a reactive meeting whereby we are going to react to the aftermath of the El Nino. Yet we were supposed to have some pre-meeting and prepare to avoid El Nino. So
So
basically, it's just a meeting of it's a
in other words,
reactive
you're
meeting.
saying this government is not a proactive government.
It's not really proactive. So we should be having meetings to ensure that El Nino doesn't happen, that doesn't cause some distractions, so that people can plan how to be able to mitigate these things and prevent some of the damages that have already happened. But in our case, we are waiting for the damages to happen. Then we call a meeting to go and react. So they should not, maybe next time they don't need to react to the effects of calamities, but they need to meet and prevent the calamities. So that is what should be done
Okay.
next.
Now,
So let us hope that in
the
the
El
meeting
Nino,
they're going to
the
come
El
up
Nino
with
news
some
did
better
not begin
measures.
yesterday. Yeah, the El Nino news did not begin yesterday. In any case, the alerts were sent so much earlier. In any case, they were the ones who kept on telling us that there will be El Nino, right? Until the other time they came and told us, finally, it's like we won't have El Nino. Now, they had previous cabinet meetings. Why did this issue not arise then? Why do you think it's now? Or probably what was so germane that this one now comes almost like an AOB?
I think it is priorities. You know what is prioritized in the country. I know you are going to display the newspaper there. If you look at the first page of at the Standard, it will tell you what has been prioritized. They are talking of the dialogue report clash, and you'll know that the dialogue report was when it was submitted. The president himself, that was the first thing that he responded to, committing himself, and he actually gave it a green light and talked of all recommendations that are made by the bipartisan dialogue are practical and good for the country. But when El Nino hit the country, what happened? He didn't react to it. He traveled or he flew out of the country only to come and react when people have lost lives. So it tells you, if you look at the kind of the politicians, we don't have leaders actually, so we don't need to call them leaders. The politicians that we have, if you look at the kind of the politicians we have in their hierarchy of maybe items, there are some things that they prioritize and there are some things that they treat as secondary issues.
Okay.
So the issues to do with politics is normally treated with the efficiency. Like if you look at the way they work quick to react and respond to the bipartisan report compared to responding to El Nino, it simply tells you where our priorities are lying on. And as citizens, we don't need to expect much from our politicians. We need to lower our expectations unless we want to be depressed and we want to keep on getting disappointed. So, like me, I
Okay.
personally lowered my expectations on any government that we're having in this country and any politician that was elected at
Okay.
any position.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, that will be happening. The president, I'm sure, as he said the other day when he gave the presser, is that today the cabinet will be meeting. Today, being the 27th, the cabinet will have an urgent meeting, as they described it, an urgent meeting. Now, over to the dailies, as my good friend Leo is trying to
So,
say,
Dex,
is that
as
this
you are
is
going
what,
to the daily, what you also
yeah, yeah.
need to note that the president called a meeting to announce that the government is going to meet. So, in that meeting,
Yeah, yeah.
maybe they are also going to announce in the meeting that the government is going to meet. Because the day he was having a press, I heard the whole or the entire a cabinet with him. They were lined there, they were paraded there. But what were they telling us? We are calling out this meeting to tell you that we are going to meet. So the agenda of the meeting is that we are going to meet.
Now, actually should have been when they met, what were they discussing? In that, most of the cabinet members were there, most of the relevant people were there. The people who needed to be there were there. In any case, if the president calls you, if the president summons you, you show up. You show up. So what is this that couldn't wouldn't have been discussed on Saturday when they met, because that is the day they saw that truly they really need to meet. It was the agency really had to be answered on that day. Unfortunately, they had equally to postpone the problem till Monday, hoping that it didn't rain yesterday or even that Saturday. So, according to you, I think you're saying that maybe they discussed a meeting to push for another meeting. Now that is what Leo is saying. Now, according to what we have on our dailies, allow me to go there even as Leo is coming back. Now, this week we are in for great drama. Why? The report that we were waiting for. Yesterday we had a great show. Kindly go and watch our show yesterday. We had a great show discussing on the report that was submitted to the public from Kalonzo and team. And the report was interesting. We tried to see what was on the news yesterday, or rather, what was on those newspaper, or rather, what was on that report. I will be able to read for you what recommendations were put forward, what was the recommendations and the findings that the committee led by none other than Kalonzo Musyoka, what they were able to table rather to the public. It is yet to be tabled in Parliament, but the report is out already. We have mixed reactions, Kenyans all over, from Twitter to everywhere. Kila mtu ana maoni kinzani. Everyone is discussing the report. Many wanted the cost of living to feature so loudly in that report, but funny enough, it is the most silent issue in that report. In any case, what is so loud and deafening is the position created therein. The positions, not just one but several. The allocation of funds, not for one office but several. What has not been allocated is money to cater for you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in for a great week. We are in for a great week, and this this will be interesting. I'm sure this week, either today or tomorrow, Raila Odinga will be issuing a presser. That one you can be sure. Raila Odinga will be issuing a presser. We will be bringing that live for you. He will be bringing a presser, or rather, he'll have a speech, right? He'll have a communique telling us several things. Number one, either he agrees with the report. Number two, he distances himself with the report, or he agrees with part of the report and disagrees with part of it. But then again, he has to he will read a speech. That one you can take to the bank. Maybe he will wait, right, until the president meets the cabinet and then come to the screens to tell us what he thinks, right, concerning the report, because the report has very deep recommendations that is making. It is making several recommendations, and two major recommendations are missing. I'll be telling you just now what is missing in those recommendations, because that is what informs the report that was tabled, or rather that was presented to the public yesterday. No, not yesterday, the day before yesterday. Now, it's interesting that when we needed this team to come through, when you needed this team to come up and really stand for Kenyans, unfortunately, that was not to be. In any case, what they saw to be befitting of Kenyans, or what Kenyans really needed, or why Kenyans went to the streets, as we were discussing yesterday, were the several issues I'm about to read to you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you, are on your own. If you thought that by us going to the streets to protest, by us going to the streets and asking for Hakietu and all, that will help? No, it will not. It will not. Allow me to show you some of the things that will be featuring in the featured in the newspaper yesterday. And this, of course, is the bipartisan report. The bipartisan report. Even as I'm joined by my good friend Alex Media. Allow me to show you the report. Let me show you the report. The report is interesting. The report is interesting. It has several things that are interesting to you, my viewer. To you, my viewer, allow me to show you. This is what the report has for you. The report has close to 9 recommendations, where 2 were the issues that the committee couldn't agree on. 2 were the issues that they felt. These 2 issues, it's only the president who can show leadership in it. In other words, it's only the president and Raila Odinga who will really be the ones to solve this. Yeah, according to them, this was difficult for them to solve. Sorry for me. I'm trying to have this at the center. Now, it's up to the big 2. It's up to the big 2 because the teams have refused, or rather, they were unable to agree. Now it's up to Raila Odinga and William Ruto to agree on some of the things that were not agreed upon by the team led by Kalonzo Musyoka and Kimani Ichung'wah. And ladies and gentlemen, allow me to read to you what entailed. This was yesterday's newspaper. Of course, I'll come to today's newspaper. Now, according to what the committee was able to table, this is what they agreed on. One, that the Senate will have an oversight fund. That was the first thing they agreed. Number 2, they also agreed that they need to have a ward development fund, and the CDF as well is so loud in this document. This is to say that the first thing that they were able to agree upon was funds. Funds for senators, funds for MCAs, and funds for MPs. The second thing that they were able to agree on is the office of leader of opposition. Now, this office is not just headed by the leader only. It comes with 2 deputies. It comes with 2 deputies. Now it will have the prime minister, it will have the opposition leader, yes, correct, and two deputies. Now these 2 deputies, their work will be defined later. I'm sure this document needs to be polished even more so that some of these roles will be well defined. The other thing that these guys are saying, that we need a prime cabinet secretary's office to be enshrined in the constitution. The other thing they need is to have a constitutional office that oversights party fidelity. In the report as well, this is what they are saying, that they need an audit of the 2022 electoral process. Of course, they equally recommended that we have an expanded IEBC from a panel of 7 to 9 members. I think they were recommending is to increase timelines from Supreme Court to hear presidential petition from 14 days to 21 days. Of course, all of this we were trying to tackle yesterday. So follow the show yesterday. You will see more because we really tried to go into the depths of all this. The other thing that they also said that they reduce official travel budget by 50% and cut subsistence allowance by 30%, reduce road maintenance levy and anti-adulteration levy by 5 and 3 shillings respectively, and of course the government to finalize transfer of all devolved functions. Now, according to this report, there were some guys who had their way. Of course, Kenya Kwanza, the proposal they came with, it's like everything sailed through because from the first 4, this is what Kenya Kwanza brought on the table, and it's like everything they brought on the table sailed through. What Azimio brought on the table was auditing the 2022 elections. That, I think, sailed through. Jubilee came also on the table complaining. Their issue, I think, was captured. But what was not captured what was not captured and what they deferred on was what would have benefited you, Mwananchi, and that is the reduction of VAT on fuel from 16% to 8%, and of course, scrapping of the controversial housing levy. Those were missing. Those were missing, or rather, that what is missing will will be determined by the president and Raila Odinga. Well, that was the report. That was yesterday's newspaper. Now, on today's newspaper, I want to do this. I want to go to today's newspaper. Now, today's newspaper continues on this. It continues more on this, and it speaks about the dialogue report. And this is what they're saying, that there seems to have a clash. There is a clash. I think we were able to see some tweets from Mother Karua and some comments as well, and sentiments from none other than one Eugene Wamalwa. Now, according to them, is that there is a clash on the dialogue report. Now, this is what the newspapers today read, that whereas the president says that he will push for its full implementation, of course, talking about the report, some in his campaign think it is too expensive. The Azimio side is also split, with Mother Karua dismissing it. A tweet from the president is that all recommendations made by bipartisan dialogue team are practical and good for the country. Yeah, so it is practical to increase the offices. It's practical, despite them complaining there is no money and the taxes are high and all. They're saying it's practical and it's good for the country. Mother Karua, in a post on Twitter, formerly on X, formerly Twitter, said that any purported agreement that does not immediately impact on cost of living, electoral justice, and respect for multi-party democracy is a fraud. That is Martha Karua for you. And now let me also as well try to bring you up to speed with what Nation Media had to say. But ladies and gentlemen, basically, the report was so silent on the cost of living. It was so silent. And I agree with the newspaper that somehow this will be the beginning of wrangles in UDA and equally in Azimio, if the report is anything to go by. I want us to listen to to Dende Nyoro yesterday during a church service. This is what he had to say concerning the report.
Mimi ni rafiki yangu na ile kazi tunafanya na yeye ya uchumi, nimeshiriki katika mikutano mingi sana ya maneno ya uchumi, na vile tulichaguliwa tulianza kuita treasury, wagwana wa treasury, na tukaanza kuwaona pale Karen wakati huo wako wamemove to State House, na tukaanza kuona the glaring picture of how Kenya is or was at that time, na tukaona the decision that we needed to make ni either tusome Kenya kwa gazeti ya kwamba hata madeni haiwezi lipa, ama kwanza tukaze mishipi na to stabilize uchumi wa Kenya. And I can tell you for a fact, I have told you I'm a Christian and an Anglican. Mukiangalia nchi ya Kenya hiyo wakati around 1 year ago, usome Kenya na usome karatasi ingine ya Ghana, usome ingine ya Sri Lanka, usome ingine kama ya Ethiopia, usome ingine kama ya Zambia. Kama hujaangalia pale juu ni nchi gani, utafikiria hiyo ni nchi moja, kwa sababu we were at the same level. Debt distress, we were almost on a cliff falling. Lakini rais akatuambia Wakenya hawawezi amuka mapema hivyo watuchague, alafu sisi tufanye vitu ya kuwafurahisha saa hii tuagushe nchi. Na ndio maana tukakaza mishipi. And I can confidently tell you, hapo beleni, the world was waiting for Kenya to fail. The world was waiting for Kenya not to pay its financial obligations. But I'm proud to start before you and Kenyans to say, Kenya is now stable. We are able to pay our debts na Kenya has not gone to the route of Ghana, of Zambia, of Sri Lanka. But in this context, we are not starting to test them and say, sisi mnaona ile kazi tumefanya ni kazi gumu. Hapana. Vile tunaeleza ni kueleza kwenye Kenya ingekuwa. For example, hapo beleni kulikuwa na fuel subsidy. But Kenyans need to know, when I became chairman of budget, the first supplementary budget we made, we put in 44 billion shillings of paying the subsidy of last regime. So people enjoyed the subsidy, but the government never paid. In this supplementary budget we are making, ile tulipitisha last week, actually this week, we have actually also paid 4 billion arrears of that subsidy. So mimi najua kwa sababu nakaa Kenya, we want a better country. Tunataka bei ya chakula, bei ya fuel na bei ya maisha ikuwe chini. Lakini mimi nikeuliza wa Kenya, ni vizuri vile tumefanya kwanza kustabilize nchi kwanza isipate jina baya, kwa sababu nchi ikipata jina baya, pahali kama Ghana, nilikuwa nasikiza mbunge wa huko juzi, hata kupata kama wale wakogwe wetu, our parents wamesave pesa za nchi ilifika pahali wale walikuwa wamenunua government instruments kama treasury bills and bonds. Doti ya huyu na huyu tunaweka pamoja, the best dot takes over. Mimi naona
okay. Hey.
Ukihesabu ama ukiangalia uchumi wa Kenya over the year into a
Sorry for that. Kuna mshiki kidogo tu kwa studio, but we are now good. We were talking of Dende Nyoro. Dende Nyoro was trying to explain several things, that if we have a referendum, the economy will suffer. If you choose to go for a referendum, the economy will start, that we really don't need a referendum. He was equally showing us the problems that we are already in. Yeah, we have previous debts we are trying to pay. We have floods currently we are facing. We have issues currently we are facing. The economy is not doing so well. So do we really need a referendum? Because most of those recommendations, right, that ladies and gentlemen, will have to come to you, Mwananchi. They'll have to come to you for you to say yes or no. We'll have to have that. A yes or no form of referendum. You also need to remember we don't have an IBC. So the first thing that we'll need to do, they'll have to constitute the IBC so that the IBC can conduct a referendum. So that IBC probably will be an interim one. I don't know. But think about it. One, we don't have an IBC. Over close to a year now, we don't have an IBC. Or we don't have its leadership. So not having an IBC that is functional, in any case, if you remember during BIBI, one of the reasons that the petitioners took, then it was not fully quorate. Those were the words they were using, that the numbers were not, we didn't have a quorum because we had only 3 commissioners and we ought to have 7. So according to the courts, and ladies and gentlemen, if referendum was to be done today, a rush IBC will have to be constituted so as to, one, verify maybe if we'll need signatures, or if it comes just directly from parliament and to us straight. I don't know how we are yet to test that method. I don't know what happens from there. I don't know if we will need signatures again. I don't think, no. I don't know. I don't want to say I know so much about that. But ladies and gentlemen, we don't have an IBC. That's one. Number two, we don't have resources. And even if we had resources, do we need new offices? Will that cure the problems that we have in Kenya? When we took to the streets during Maandamano, when you and I said we want issues resolved, probably amicably or through the streets as many chose to do, did we envisage that we want the office of Prime Cabinet Secretary? Was it why some people lost their lives? Was that the reason? I don't know. Now, the dailies as well have some interesting stories therein. I'll try to share with you. I hope it displays that talks report splits Azimio. The talks from the bipartisan, they have split Azimio. How true that is, I don't know. But this is what the newspaper is saying. This is what the newspaper is saying. That now this one, it's more of a rumor than true, but this is what they're saying. That according to the Daily Nation, that former President Uhuru Kenyatta, uh, who is an Azimio Council chair, is said to have made attempts to scatter the talks, calling to meetings on party leading lights in Nairobi. This is what Raila Odinga equally said. I haven't read it. Azimio leader Raila Odinga yesterday said he had received the report by the team, but had not read it. He promised to comment on it once he had read that report. Now, Martha Karua has already tweeted about it. She has distanced herself with it. According to Daily Nation, is that Uhuru Kenyatta as well has distanced himself from the report. Martha Karua and Eugene, the two have equally distanced themselves from the report. The post continues by saying, a day after the bipartisan talk team set up by President William Ruto and opposition chief leader, that is Raila Odinga, presented its recommendation, division erupt in ODM, or rather, not ODM, in Mr. Odinga's Azimio camp, with NAC Kenya leader Martha Karua and Kenya's Eugene Wamalwa rejecting the proposal for failing to tackle the high cost of living. Of course, that story is on page 6 and page 7 of the Daily Nation. So grab your paper today and read more on that. But all it means is that these two parties have refused to agree. They have refused to agree because one of the pertinent issues, that is the cost of living, was not properly highlighted, was not properly captured in the report. The report captured most things that affect the leaders themselves, the politicians, things that only affect the leaders, not you, Mwananchi, not you and I. And according to Daily Nation, is that Fununu has it, because this yet to be proven to be true. Fununu has it that former president, that is Uhuru Kenyatta, had called a meeting in attempts to scatter the talks. How true that is, I don't know. The jury is out there, and it is for you to decide, is it true or is not true. But grab the paper to read more story upon what transpired with that. Okay, now this committee to come through when we truly needed to see the experience that many praised Kalonzo to have concerning him being a good negotiator, the experience that we truly needed for him to showcase in this bipartisan was seriously lacking. Yeah, in this bipartisan talks, we needed him to use his prowess, as they called him, a good negotiator, to use his prowess to negotiate for Kenyans so as to have the cost of living lowered. Unfortunately, the best they came up with is that Senate will have funding, Parliament will have funding, the MCA will have funding, but you, Mwananchi, you'll have to wait. You, Mwananchi, you'll have to wait. That's what the committee, so to be wise and to be right. We are on our own, Kenyans, we are on our own. Now, this is what played yesterday. So listen.
Seem to be in disagreement over the report of the National Dialogue Committee.
Well, President William Ruto has said he agrees with the recommendations made by the committee, which listed a raft of recommendations. The opposition through NARC Kenya party leader Martha Karua and one of the committee members, Eugene Wamalwa, says the report is not people-centered and does not reflect the cost of living agenda. As Ayub Abdikadir reports, while the head of state has given the report his stamp of approval, opposition faults are emerging.
A day after the Kimani Ichung'wah and Kalonzo Musyoka-led committee announced agreement on a majority of issues, and fundamentally differing over the proposals to lower the high cost of living, the head of state gave the report a green light, imploring on Parliament to fast-track the implementation of the recommendations.
Na hiyo mapendekezo yote wametoa ni sawa. Yale mambo mengine yote wamependekeza. Sasa nyinyi wabunge muende mukalie hiyo maneno, tumalizane, sisi wa Kenya wengine tuungane. Sasa tushirikiane na kujenga taifa letu la Kenya.
Drumming up support for what was dubbed as a path to end Kenya's post-election cycles of violence. The president said some of the recommendations are a reflection of some of the policies being implemented by his administration.
Mahali wamesema tupunguze gharama ya serikali, ile watu wanaenda safari, ile watu wamesema ipunguzwe by 30%. Ingine wamesema ipunguzwe by 50%. Hiyo ya 50% nimefanya tayari kupunguza hiyo by 50%. Ile wanasema ipunguzwe by 30%, mimi napendekeza hata tuongeze ikuwe 50%, ndio tupunguze zaidi.
Kuna baadhi ya mambo ambayo hatukusikizana na tukayapendekeza. Rais na mzee Raila Odinga wazungumze, waone kama wanaweza pata njia nyingine. Lakini la muhimu kabisa, tulikubaliana mambo ya uchaguzi wa 2022 iliisha.
Hiyo ripoti itakuja bunge, na wabunge wataichangia, waipitishe ili tulete upendo na amani katika nchi yetu. We must learn how to love each other.
Despite the government expressing support for the report, Some opposition leaders within Azimio have rejected the outcome of the committee, while coalition leader Raila Odinga has promised a statement on the report. Na Kenya Party leader Martha Karua on her X account, formerly Twitter, said, any purported agreement that does not immediately impact on the cost of living, electoral justice and respect for multi-party democracy is a fraud on the people and must be rejected. Speaking in Tinkolo Catholic Church in Butula, the county of Busia, Eugene Wamalwa, a member of the committee, also objected to the outcome of the committee.
We, as the representatives of the people of Kenya, did not do justice to the issue of the cost of living that touches every Kenyan. Na kwa sababu hiyo, mimi nimesema sitaweka sahihi ile report. Sababu swala la gharama ya maisha halikushughulikiwa vile Wakenya walitarajia. We could have done more, we could have done better than we did.
Areas the government and the opposition agreed on include the creation of the official opposition leader's office with 2 deputies, entrenching office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary in the Constitution, and finalizing transfer of all devolved functions to the devolved units. Ayub Abdikadir.
This is Weekend Edition with James Smart.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the program. Our sign language interpreter for tonight is David Agondewa. Let's start with Sudan. President William Ruto has endorsed the recommendations by the National Dialogue Committee, terming them as practical. This comes amid calls for the rejection of the report from a section of the opposition leaders who are casting doubts on the document for failing to address the pressing challenges facing Kenyans, such as the high cost of living. Azimio leader Raila Odinga says he has not read the report but is seeing much more into it. Here's Kevin Mutai with the details.
After several months of bipartisan talks, the National Dialogue Committee has released its report, receiving an endorsement from President William Ruto.
They are practical. We are going to work on those recommendations to reduce in areas they have recommended, to do whatever they have recommended in Parliament.
The report recommends slashing of travel budgets by 50% for all arms of government and a review of daily
Okay. Basically, what we are trying to show you is that the report is out and Kenyans, we are on our own. The referendum will be happening somehow. They'll have to push it down our throats, and I don't know if you will be ready to vote yes. I don't know. I hope you don't. But if you do, be sure you are convinced that it's the right thing to do, right? Be sure you're convinced it's the right thing to do. I want to show you the cartoon on Daily Nation and what they had for us as their cartoon. And it is this one. The results for Class 8 zilitokea, and ladies and gentlemen, it was interesting that this being the final KCPE, it ought to have received much respect. Rather, it ought to have one it received. Now, here is a magnifying glass. Now, and the magnifying glass has been held by the hand known as integrity. So the integrity question is at play here, and it imemulika the chairperson of the NAC committee of the NEC ambaye alisimamia the exams. Of course, students were reported not to receive accurate exams, and because of the same, kuna like a whole school nakuta one subject, all the students scored one type of mark. If they were 80, all of them, 80 of them score 75, for example. Yeah, how that is possible, I don't know. And that all the students score the same marks, all of them. Interesting. interesting. The other thing that was alarming is that schools that were not doing sign language received scores for sign language. Others lacked scores for what? For Kiswahili language, among many others. And of course, pia hapo nje kuko na the story of Nuro Kanga. Is the marks what he showed us, were they true? Were they true? I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to be the convener of good or bad news. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is the report was shoddy, and that's where the cartoon there shows that they are lacked integrity. They lacked integrity, and NEC needed to have done a good job. This having been the last exam, NEC all done a good job. The exam failed, or rather, the exam didn't really meet the expectations from Kenya. It being the last exam, NEC did a good job. Really showcase some sort of seriousness, some sort of seriousness. Now, allow me to wrap up the show. That is it. That's what we are having in our newspaper, and this is the very first edition of our morning show. It will be slightly lengthier with more discussions and all, but allow me to end the show. I'll end the show with a nice clip that equally made my day. I've been playing it just now for you. But ladies and gentlemen, TV, and let's keep the conversation going. Afric TV is now on TikTok. Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on TikTok. Soon we'll be having the show because you don't want to miss out on that. A lot is happening. A lot is happening here at Afrique, and we are happy and glad that you chose to work with us, to partner with us, and to have our show grow together with you. So subscribe to Afrique TV, and as I've always told you, subscribing to Afrique TV guarantees you an opportunity to win grand prizes. Very soon, I'll be reading names of people who have won and people who will be walking away with grand prizes because of only subscribing to Afrique 24. Subscribe to Afrique 24. Search for us on YouTube. Search for us on TikTok. Tutafute kila mahali. We are all over on Twitter. Tutafute. We guarantee we'll give you quality. We'll give you nothing but the best. This is a station that is here to really serve your interest. Now, this really caught me. This really caught my eye. I want you to see this. This is our deputy president after the conclusion of the AU summit. He's now coming back. He received a serious accord of respect, seriously guarded, heavily guarded actually, right? And the largesse that comes with power, the grandiose and all. I think this is why these people always go for these offices, yeah, because the respect that comes with it. People have a line to greet you as you depart their country, right? He walks slowly. Wow, this was beautiful. This was it was nice. It was nice. I love how the country looks. It looks good from the clip. It looks very good. It looks very good. Gashagwa looks casual, despite a very serious what? A very serious situation. Now, the other thing that also the final clip I'm playing, the other thing, and it will be the last one actually, the other thing that really caught me was this man who appeared in the dialogue committee. This man's desires were never met, right? This man's desires were never met. In the report, in the final conclusion, the wishes of this man were never met. Ladies and gentlemen, see you in the evening, and we will have another great conversation. This is Afric24. Subscribe, watch our channel, follow us on TikTok, on Facebook, and on Twitter, and of course, subscribe to YouTube channel, and let us have fun. This has been the morning show. This is the first one. We'll have even more to come in the coming days. But let me leave you with this.
The population quota, whereby we want the Homa Town constituency to be divided so that we can have Kanyaga constituency. For us, we've met the population quota. And this one will make us to realize the issue, the big issue before the corridors of debate, whereby Kimani Chungwa is saying, Honorable Kimani Chungwa is saying, majority leader, one man, one coin, or one shilling, one man. So for us, for this to be realized even to us, we have to create a super county.
I use that. I have never said
He has also spoken about it. Yeah. So thank you very much for having given us the opportunity. Asanteni sana.
He spoke
we spoke about it. We said that it is supposed to be created.
He spoke about it. So the presenters finished their time, but I'll just allow one question only from each side.
Okay.
Hassan, you'll take on behalf of this side.
No, just
then you'll tell me if there's a comment from this side.
Michael.
Yes, Your Honor, yes.
No, you said we removed the National Tallying Center.
Yes.
Then how do we collect all these results from the polling stations and centers? Where do we tally them?
What we've heard about this from the scenarios of elections which have been held, the 3 elections, after the Maina Kiais case, and what the judges had ruled upon, we saw it that normally at Bomas is where the fight is, not right at the polling station. So after all the results of the members of parliament have been declared, MCAs, governors, women reps, and senators, everybody dashes to the National Tallying Center. So we're asking ourselves, why is it that everybody is dashing towards the National Tallying Centers and yet they are voted at the polling stations? So, for us to have a beautiful country, this country we cherish, honorable members, let us be candid enough and honest to ourselves so that future generations will not suffer the same fate.
But where do we then?
So tallying, that is what brings me to tell you about this. We have 47 counties, and this will bring the aspect part of the electoral colleges. So if we have like 64,000 polling stations in the entire republic, and presidential A has got 50,000, definitely he is supposed to be declared the president.
So you are saying we scrap the National Tallying Center?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and move it to electoral colleges.
Okay.
That is what we are saying.
You had said earlier on,
yes,
that you don't want to see members of parliament impeaching a president.
Yes.
That should be left to the people.
The people, yes.
Do it themselves.
Yes.
But aren't you alive to the provisions of Article 1?
Yes, I am alive to it.
That allows the public, the people,
yes,
to delegate,
yes,
their sovereign power,
yes,
to elected representatives.
The wording which is used in that given article, Landed Council, if I may, if you look at the sovereignty of the people, it says that all powers, all sovereign powers belongs to the people of Kenya and shall be, underline the wording shall, mandatory, be exercised only in accordance with this constitution. The people may, optional, may, optional. That is it, Your Honor. No, complete it, may exercise their sovereignty power either directly or through their democratically elected. So the wording, the conjunction may.
Thank you very much. Yes. And I think that is a plain language in law.
Thank you, Michael.
Yes.
Any final question from the panelists before we let the representative from Homa Bay Interface Community help? Yes. You're satisfied? Okay. We may let him go.
Before he goes, let me go.
Before you go, or maybe Michael, we shall let you go. Because the way is optional. Before he goes, he may opt not to go.
Michael, yes,
very finally.
Yes.
You are seeking for the creation of a constituency to be named Kanyaga.
Yes.
Out of the present day Homa Bay town.
Yes.
Constituency.
Yes.
What would the other constituency then be named?
For instance, Your Honor, you come from Ugenya constituency.
I come from Ugunja.
Ugunja, yes, Ugunja constituency.
Yes, yes.
So Ugunja is for Ugunja clansmen. In their interest, it is being catered for. Right now, our counties are experiencing the rural-urban migration, and you will find that we have the local natives, like honorable member seated next to you, Arun. He has got the Ogie community. Yes, Ogie can also have their constituency because they have got their own challenges they face. So for us, the urban setups, we find that right now we have like the Tomboy universities, we have students from all walks of life. Right now the university has taken a portion of roughly like 20,000 plus, if you include with the local residents who are working within, and then the local natives will be left with no representation. So that is the reason as to why we are saying that each and every area has to be represented, including even Soba County.
So the constituency will be called what? That was a question.
No, the constituency we want is Kanyaga constituency. There is no problem.
The remaining part of Homa Bay?
Homa Bay town constituency. Okay. Because it's a cosmopolitan.
Kanyaga now will comprise more of the super community in Homa Bay.
No, Kanyaga constituency will comprise of the Kanyadians. The local
Kanyaga, I want to understand why it was.
Yes.
The Kanyadians.
Yes.
What you describe as the local natives.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, just hold on.
Yes.
Because you cut across the image of a very young and progressive Kenyan.
Yes, sir.
As much as you have every right to advocate for the rights of the Kanyagians.
Yes.
And if we may consider the Kanyagians and you who are natives of Homa Bay.
Yes.
And maybe you live in Nairobi.
Yes.
As a Kanyagian.
Yes.
And in another 5 to 10 years.
Yes.
Where you live, there is a small community of Kanyagians.
Yes.
Are you then also going to demand